Hello, you've reached the world infamous Len Amsterdam.
Howdy, Len. This is Bob Grez from Chadwick's USA, calling in to do an exclusive interview for the Len Amsterdam Show.
Hey, Bob, you're right on schedule. Thanks for swinging by. Let's start this off with a big American country yeehaw.
Okay, Len, I'll give it my best shot. My adrenaline's pumping for this show over here, so I'm a little excited about it.
Sorry to interrupt you, Bob. Let me give you an appropriate cue. Hey, good one, Bob. You just blew out the windows in my control room.
Oops. Sorry about that, Len. Guess it's that country air that sort of does it every time.
Okay, enough of the comedy routine. Let's get down to those serious questions. You got a pickup truck? You got a horse? And do you indulge in chewing tobacco?
I guess I have a few horses in the pickup truck that do chew some gas.
No, I don't believe that for a second, but... Mr. Grez, can you tell us about your musical history?
I started off in music because music ran in our family. We always sang. We sang at the kitchen table. We sang at the dinner table. We went on camping trips. We went on picnics. And we were always singing in the car, in the house, wherever we could go. I was very lucky because I started off in a world-class boys choir in Brooklyn, New York. Well, there I sort of learned that performing as a team on stage in front of hundreds or thousands of people, I mean, that's really a pure joy, and that's a lot of fun. I participated in musicals in high school, and from there, playing a lot of folk and rock tunes, which were very popular back in the 60s and the 70s. I really enjoyed doing that, but I always wanted to write my own stuff and to be able to perform it and bounce it off of folks and see what they thought about it. That's what I really enjoyed doing the most. I wrote about 25 songs in the 70s. Then in the 80s, started writing a little different, trying to market songs to different artists. I was very lucky a couple of times and came very close to having a couple of songs accepted, but that didn't work out the way I had planned. Otherwise, you know, I'd be in Nashville right now. But I kept on trying. In the mid-90s, it's all sort of started coming more together, I guess, because I went through and kept on writing one song after another. And after about the first 150 songs, I started learning a lot from what I had done. I put those songs together into a package of 2 CDs and put those out on the net. Very soon after that, I started getting gigs over at bars and at festivals, and I was able to learn a lot in performing on stage interactively with an audience, and there I started having a real ball.
So Bob, what was your first guitar and what's your current axe?
My first guitar was a $30 department store special. The strings were up so high above the fretboard, I guess it was about a ½ inch or 3/4 of an inch above it. But that's what I learned how to play guitar. I now have a Guild F45 CE. It's a cutaway, very pretty guitar. It's got a very nice acoustic sound. It's the same guitar that Pat Metheny uses in his playing. Of course, I don't play the guitar as well as he does. But this guitar is really sort of special because it's got a maple back, it's got a violin back, and it's got an oval hole which sort of allows a lot of the mid-range and bass sounds to come out of the body of the guitar that other guitars don't have. I also installed on it one of those LR bags, combination sound systems, which has a mic and a pickup as well. And that makes the guitar sound just as pretty amplified as it does without the amplifier itself. I also have a tenor banjo which I plunk around with, and a Martin backpacker guitar which I take along on campouts. It's funny that the instrument sometimes guides you into writing songs of a certain type. For instance, I wrote my song Mama's Arms on my backpacker guitar out on a camping trip. It had this plunky feel to it, and it made the song more plunky, and I always imagined banjo fitting in right alongside of that with more of that folk feel to it.
You're making an appearance on my show as a direct use of the home studio. Can you talk a little bit about your setup and the digital revolution?
My home studio is relatively simple nowadays. I still believe that you should really record your music in a professional studio with professional musicians there, with a professional recording engineer, with a producer. I think the quality of the material is really top notch when you do that. But for my home studio, I just have Audacity for some software to record some simple things. I have a nice Shure mic, Beta 87C or whatever the heck it's called. Yeah, I think that's it. Got a very nice wide bandwidth, so vocals come out really sweet on that. And of course I feed that in through a Mackie mixer, an 8-channel one, and I feed that into my Macintosh computer, and basically that's my setup right now. I'm still considering putting on doors and trying to isolate my studio away from the rest of the house a little bit, and I'll see how that goes, but that's my next project. All told, a studio doesn't really have to cost that much, especially for demos in the home. My setup hardly costs anything. I mean, Audacity is free. The computer itself, I think, you're going to spend anywhere from $500 to $1,500 for a good computer. There's a lot of benefits today that we have with this digital revolution. We don't need reel-to-reel recording being done anymore. I mean, each of those tapes, I still have some of the tapes. Nowadays, you don't have to spend that much. Computer hard drives are cheap. You can record on them and erase and edit and do everything that you really want to do in a home studio. So don't spend a lot of money for demos that you're recording at home, unless you really want to. I mean, if you want to, I mean, you can go out there and spend $25,000 for a system. And if that's what you want to invest in, by all means go ahead, but that's not the route that I chose.
Now, Bob is very well known for his collaborative efforts. I personally know of his work with Freddie Potts, Morris P. Rainville, Chairs, and Too Wild himself, Clay Pierce. And is there any truth to the rumor that there's a spud track in the can?
I have been extremely lucky in doing some collaborative work, primarily through contacts on the internet. My first song, Mama's Arms, was recorded by Tor Haugen and the Chairs, and then very shortly afterwards by Morris P. Rainville from Canada. And both versions, I was flabbergasted. I'm amazed at the quality of those two artists and how much of their soul they had put into my song. I was amazed by that. There were many other collaborative efforts that happened afterwards. One that comes to mind is working with Freddie Potts out of Louisiana. Freddie had this idea for a song called Moonshine. I sort of helped him out with the words and stuff. Then Clay Pierce had some marvelous ideas about a real touching song about his son. That touched me, but sometimes I'll help out and just see where that song goes. The song is what matters to me, and of course the people that help put the thing together, when they spend that much time and energy on a project, that's a very special and rare thing that happens. One song in particular that has really benefited by the collaborative effort is After She Is Gone. Mary's song. It's a song about a bag lady, and I sent it out to Morris Rainville a little over a year ago, I guess, and he recorded it, and it came back, and we worked back and forth on getting the sound just right, and we posted it on SoundClick. Since then, we've accumulated something like 32,000 plays for just that one song, like almost 1,000 downloads of the tune, and I think that kind of success sort of shows from a teaming up of where two minds are better than one, definitely. I hope to continue doing this. There are a number of people that I would love to be able to collaborate with. Mississippi Spud is one of them. His telly, I definitely want that in the song, and we've already discussed a couple of ideas on a song about half a year ago, but I plan to get back into that and seeing if we can finish that one up. I think that one had a lot of potential. I wholeheartedly recommend collaborative efforts to many of the artists out there and songwriters out there. I've learned so much from the people that I've worked with, and I've had such a blast doing it. Every single collaboration that I've ever done, I've really benefited by it. And I just want to say thanks to all the great people out there that took the time and their energy to work with me.
What do you think about the wonderful wide web?
The internet for the musician and the artist and the songwriter is a wonderful thing. It's a microphone that is set to talk to the whole world. I've been able to get folks to listen to my songs from Australia to Europe, Asia, Africa, places that I would never be performing in directly. I can't say how wonderful of a medium it is. It sure beats radio as far as I'm concerned, and I think it's definitely the wave of the future. I think it's only a matter of time before the internet, though, catches up on being able to protect the rights of songwriters and artists and keeping their material from being stolen and just used all over the place. They'll figure that out soon enough, and within the next couple of years I think even that will be much better. I have heard more songs that were unique and distinctly creative, something that hadn't been, how should I say it, homogenized or blenderized by the music industry. The artist and the songwriter are able to put out songs that come straight out of their heads and go straight onto a recording, onto an MP3 recording, which is presented directly to the audience. I don't think you can ask for anything better than that. The other benefit about the internet is that artists can talk to other artists and see what problems they have found from the experiences that they have had. And songwriters can learn how to write better from other songwriters. It's one great mosh pit for folks that have the same interests and maybe have the same problems and issues, and they're able to work on them and try to solve them in a grander effort, which is more cooperative across nations, across cultures, across all sorts of things.
What are the important things in life besides music?
Outside of my musical interests, I guess the focus is really my family. My wife, my kids, my new grandchild, who was born just 2 minutes before midnight, before New Year's Day. My son, he's getting married in June. Life is just so full of everyday things that I really have very little time left over between my day job, my family, and my music. And I think I've got a full platter right there. For rest and relaxation, I like to go out to my camp, but that I really enjoy more spring, summer, and fall. In the wintertime, I prefer sitting over by a nice hot fire and playing my guitar and maybe watching a movie or two.
Who are your musical heroes, particularly those artists who influenced your own songwriting?
There's a lot of people that I was influenced by in music. One is like Conway Twitty, who sang "That's My Job." I learned a lot about what people can say inside of a song and how meaningful it can be to the listener. I know that was meaningful to me, particularly because my dad had recently passed away. There were many other people that had influenced what I have been doing in the past, like 10 years or so. Kenny Rogers, Garth Brooks, Alan Jackson, Clint Black. The list goes on, and I think I wrote it down one time, and I think I surpassed about 200 or 300 names of people that had really influenced me in what I do. There was somebody that made a statement one time and had a quote that says something that we can see so far because we stand on the shoulders of giants. And I think that's been my guiding principle when it comes to creating new music. And what I've done is I have tried to learn from people that have come before me, and not only the big name artists. I learned a lot from the indies that are on the internet, and I think someday they're going to have big names and be very influential on the music scene itself. I'm grateful for being at the right place at the right time in gaining from the experiences of the people from the past and learning from the people that are there right now. And I hope to leave a little bit of something that somebody else can build on something in the future with.
Bob, do you have a live performance story you can tell us?
Everybody who's performed on stage has had great experiences and has had horror stories. The one story that I can think of where I had a blast, I was performing at this open mic night in a place north of Rome, New York. The place had this heavy rock blues influence. Most of the people there were heavy rockers. When I came on stage, I was doing my country music, and I'm trying to think real quick about which song I should really play for this crowd that is expecting this overdriven music to be played. And what I did is I quickly picked out my slowest, sweetest song, and I performed that. The first 4, well, maybe 8, 12 bars into the song, I looked at this one guy. I guess he was about 6'4", about 250 pounds. He was turning away from me and starting to face the bar when I was singing. Then I noticed that his wife or his girlfriend or whoever, she sort of peeked out around him and started heading towards me. And then I noticed another lady and another one. Finally, there were about 5 or 6 women that just started approaching me while I was performing the song, and I was flattered to no end. Their mouths were wide open, and they were just staring and swaying to the song that I was singing. I couldn't have asked for a better audience. After the show, the owner of the bar came by and he asked me to come by and play any time that I ever wanted to, and I was really flattered by that. That's the story that really exemplifies something that was a sweet thing.
Do you consider yourself a country songwriter?
I do consider myself a country artist, particularly given the breadth of genres that are available to people within country right now. Everything from bluegrass to alternative country to country pop to country rock to traditional country. I mean, there's all sorts of flavors out there. I try to dabble in other areas as well, folk and rock, in writing my material. That's for darn sure. My song After She Is Gone has some urban flavors to it, which don't necessarily come out of a rural environment. I think that being able to explore other music types and other music cultures is an important thing. I grew up on Brazilian music and some German music and some Polish music. All of that is the background where you come from and what you can apply yourself to if you want.
What makes for a good song to you as a listener?
As a listener, I listen to the intro very carefully and the first words. If they grab my ears right from the start, then I think I'm on to a great song. If the next set of words connects back to the first words, then I know I'm onto a great song. And I have to see that connectivity that goes all the way down to the hook of the song and make sure that everything focuses on that hook. And every word has to count. The thing I guess I look for is humor. I want to see a little variety. I mean, sad songs are good in country music, but there's a lot more to be gained in listening to tunes that come from in all sorts of tangents with all sorts of flavors. There's love songs are fine, but I think comedy and open spaces in a song are really important. Those open spaces can create openings for soloists. What I really want to say is that songs that have a message are important because what they do is they sort of indicate our humanity in our everyday lives. The songs should reflect a depth of our understanding of our surrounding culture. I try to do that in a couple of songs like Let Them Know What's in Your Eyes or After She Is Gone or Mama's Arms. I try to give a glimpse of what's important in our everyday lives within the framework of a song.
What's your understanding of the paid download?
The paid download thing on the internet, well, that's where artists and songwriters get reimbursed directly through a payment from the end user. Right now, I think that there's not a whole heck of a lot of money to be made for indies. And even the established recording industry, I don't think will make a whole lot of money on it right now. But I think within 5 years to 10 years, I think music on the internet will be the radio of yesterday. It's only a matter of time before things really catch up and go in that direction. I think I see the processes all lined up, centered about those types of concepts.
Well, it's unfortunately come to that time where we have to wrap her up. I'd just like to thank you, Bob, for swinging by. You've given us some really insights into what you're about. I've been asking all the questions here, and you've been doing a lot of the talking. Perhaps you'd like to throw out a question to Len Amsterdam.
Len, at this time I'd like to thank you very much. In doing this interview, I realized the time and the trouble that you have taken. I've been itching to ask this for a long time, but are you a DJ in Toronto or Ottawa, or where are you? I know you're on the internet, but why aren't you also on the radio right now?
Geez, Bob, that hurt. Have you heard the state of conventional radio? Seriously, conventional radio is dead. Even this new spaced out thing, it's the same old repackaging of all the hits you've heard all your life. Now, the Canadian nation has been hip to all things Len Amsterdam for many moons now, and it's only recently that my American brothers and sisters have joined the cause. Bob Grez is on the top of my playlist and should be on yours too. Len Amsterdam, Canada.